Boom, this is a boy Raslick. Make sure you tune in to the Lion Voice blog and the YouTube. Make sure you click that bell right there and subscribe on the thing, alright? I give a lot, but I ain't giving up, cause I know my time must come. Swah!
And also, remember that the Reading Ras merchandise is available on the website. Get your Reading Ras t-shirts. We have some beautiful merch for male and female designs. Get your Reading Ras merch. Today, again, another way to help the ecosystem. And we keep saying it, it's the most beautiful time for creatives. There's so much that we can do to monetize and be sustaining. Ethiopia provides a blueprint for nation building. So in the Pan-African community and the conscious community, we talk about nation building. It's a mantra. But a lot of time we're very theoretical about nation building. We know the basic building blocks, the black family, the repairing the relationship between the man and the woman, which is why we do relationship content. But we don't really get into the real nitty-gritty and the dynamics of nation building, the economics. Well, Ethiopia provides us a living example. During the reign of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I, we can see how a nation is built. You know, how he marshaled all the nations, creeds, and tongues of the earth to come together for the building of Zion. The story of Ethiopia's development is a case study in collective security, in marshalling limited resources for maximum output. And this is a model that we can use for the entire African continent. So
well, Lion Voice, tell them that's the people first choice. Lion Voice, make the lioness them feel nice. Lion Voice, with the lion cubs we sacrifice. Lion Voice, got to show the people them the life. Lion Voice.
Summers on the track.
greetings in that divine name of His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie I. Glory and honor in the name of his chosen queen, Empress Waziri Menen. My name is Kwasi Bansu, aka the Dejazmatch Kwasi, aka Ras Kwasi, aka the Reading Ras, aka the Pan-African Happy Man. I'm an entertainment attorney, I'm an author, I'm an artist, I'm an actionist, and right now I'm the host of the Lion Voice. Welcome to the Lion Voice. This is episode 67. We're getting close to that 100 episode mark. Discipline and determination, we do give thanks. As always, we have to big up the Lion Patreon Pride. The Lion Pride in Patreon have been supporting the platform with economics, and we give thanks. And remember, I'm not leaving out any of the subscribers, because if you subscribe, you're part of the Lion Pride. So we give thanks. The aim, building a Rastafari production studio and network here on YouTube, so that we can make sure that Rastafari voice is here. YouTube is the #2 search engine on the planet, so we want to make sure our voice is present on the platform. We're going to talk about 5 reasons why Ethiopia and His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I are critical, not just important, but critical to Black history. Okay, so number 5, I'm going to start with number 5, and we're going to go down to the number 1 reason. So for number 5 is that Ethiopia is the validation of the biblical story. So the most popular work, ancient text in the world is the Bible, and it's a controversial book, A lot of people, burn the Bible because of what the history of the European Christianity and the transatlantic slave trade, and them using that book as a weapon against African people. However, when we look into the pages of history, we see that Ethiopia is the first Christian nation. Before Rome became Christian, Ethiopia was Christian. We see the tradition of the African Hebrews with ancient Ethiopia, meaning that Ethiopia had Hebrew kings going far back as Menelik I, according to their own tradition, not what Europeans came and wrote the story. This is taking Ethiopians at their own tradition, which they have a right to promulgate because they were unconquered. So when we read in the biblical story, there's a king called King David, and there was a covenant that was sworn unto King David that the fruit of his loin would sit on the throne from this time henceforth even forever. That there would be a man-child on the throne. And if you look after Solomon, if you take Jerusalem as an example, there was a civil war in Jerusalem between Judah and Israel, and Israel mashed up from that time. However, if we look at the story in the Kebra again, the Ethiopians' own account, we see that the blessing or the line of kings was now transferred. Solomon having a child with Princess Makeda, their meeting was recorded in the Bible, and then the line of Ethiopian kings or the Solomonic dynasty established, and these kings in the African mountains remained free from this time and inspired legends in Europe. The legend of Prester John, other legends were spawned by the Ethiopians, keeping again this covenant that was sworn unto David alive, because there was no other place on the face of the earth where the man-child, that unbroken line, sat on the throne. So very important. And also that was coming from the oldest son of Solomon, so from the eldest son line, which the inheritance typically would pass to the eldest son. Now again, without Ethiopia, this is rendered a mythology, or it's not real, because all of these other nations were conquered. All of these other nations never maintained that allegiance to the Davidic covenant. Ethiopia did, to the extent that you couldn't even sit on the throne without proving connection to that Solomonic bloodline in Ethiopia. It's recorded in the Muslim text, the Quran, or in the Ethiopia is written in there, and the story is well documented how the Christian king of Ethiopia from the Solomonic line gave refuge to the early Muslims. So Ethiopia being that unconquered land, the holy mountains, the tradition of the Ark of the Covenant being there, being guarded and defended, this keeps the biblical story rooted in a reality. And with so many Africans, black people, who look to the Bible for their guidance, His Imperial Majesty being a person who held the Bible in the highest esteem. So we have to do the same. Those that follow the teachings of His Majesty, if you're doing your own thing, you do your own thing. But in terms of the teaching, it's very clear. So for those of us that do that, and for myself who was not raised in the church, it's coming from the teaching of His Majesty, it's coming from that Ethiopian tradition. So the validity of the Bible, which is a book with tremendous wisdom and lessons, is preserved by Ethiopia. And the mythology that the characters, or that the Hebrews were European people, is shattered by the existence of Ethiopia. So this is why it's important to preserve that black root. And we know even through science, the mitochondrial Eve, everything points to a bottleneck in evolution that points to one African woman's mitochondrial DNA. So all of these things, again, lead to that validation of the black origin of the biblical story. That's number 5. Number 4, Ethiopia provides a blueprint for nation building. So in the Pan-African community and the conscious community, we talk about nation building. It's a mantra. But a lot of time we're very theoretical about nation building. We know the basic building blocks, the black family, the repairing the relationship between the man and the woman, which is why we do relationship content. And remember, sending the relationship questions to ask the Lion Voice at Gmail. I put the email up there because we're still gonna get to that as well. But we don't really get into the real nitty-gritty and the dynamics of nation building, the economics. Well, Ethiopia provides us a living example. During the reign of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I, we can see how a nation is built. You know, how he marshaled all the nations, creeds, and tongues of the earth to come together for the building of Zion. The story of Ethiopia's development is a case study in collective security, in marshaling limited resources for maximum output. And this is a model that we can use for the entire African continent. So this is why it's so important for Pan-Africans to study. You know, Haile Selassie has been demonized, but the beautiful thing is that the work speaks for itself. So all the naysayers, when they come, I always tell them, you know, cite their sources, and then I tell them, put up the works, you know, rise your heroes, and let us match up the resumes and see the achievements and the accomplishments, because it's very clear where feudal Ethiopia was to where Ethiopia was in the mid-70s at the disappearance of His Imperial Majesty, in terms of institutions, in terms of national development, in terms of prestige on the world stage. All of these things elevated during the reign of His Imperial Majesty, and objectively, you know, we can even look at the fruits and the vestiges that are existing today. The Renaissance Dam, these things were conceived during the reign. When we talk about Ethiopia Airlines, these things were established during the reign. Military colleges, Addis Ababa University, which was Haile Selassie University, that's training all of these professionals, the public school infrastructure, all of these things were established during the reign. The highest of Himself shall establish I and I. So the blueprint for nation building, number 4. That being said, we give thanks for everyone who has supported, watched the video. I noticed that the Lion Pride has been going into the back Lion log or catalog, whatever you want to call it, and watching the older videos. You know, we give thanks. This is very helpful, as it helps the watch time, which is one of the metrics that YouTube looks at toward the monetization of the platform. So all of those who are watching the videos to completion, we just give thanks, you know, attitude of gratitude. And right now we're in Black History Month. We're closing out Black History Month, so I thought it would be appropriate this episode to look at why Ethiopia and His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I are critical for Black history, and why they need to be included in all of these Black history curriculums. We may even touch why they were excluded, you know, why most, even our Pan-African family, don't touch Ethiopia or Haile Selassie I. I think this is an issue that we face, or a challenge that we face, in terms of the ultimate victory for African liberation. But we're going to get into it. I have 5 reasons that we're going to go through in this episode. I know there are many more. I want this platform to be interactive, so you're going to put them in the comments. Anything that I miss, put it in the comments. Big up all of the people who have been commenting, leaving their comments, all of these things, you know. And also all of the ones who have been leaving comments about the music, how they love the music. I have to say my artist side is upset with I, because I have been neglecting that artist side. So, you know, I had a meeting with the team, and we're gonna focus the artist energy in the Patreon. So I've been uploading some songs. I'm gonna upload some music, exclusive, unreleased music. You hear it played at the end of the, partially played at the end of each episode. We're gonna upload the full songs on Patreon. We're gonna upload some performances, exclusive content. So if you support the Dejazmatch KWASI, the artist, you listen to Keep at the Door, you say, where's the music? We keep hearing about this artist thing and we not see it. If you are one of those people, go to Patreon. You can follow at the $5 or the $10 level per month, and you get access to that unreleased music. And you're also gonna send a message that you want to see the Dejazmatch step out on a stage, because that is one of the joys that I have. But anyhow, forward to the episode. So we have to thank our sponsor, CMAS, Ital, Mass, Gideon. You have to be fit. You have to be well equipped. That means that CMAS half is sip. We drink the CMAS. We love the mango flavor. Passion pine is another favorite. But the kale, soursop mix is the chef's kiss. So we love all of the different flavors, and we make sure that we sip on the CMAS. We have a code in the description to get your discount, especially if you're in the DMV region. Support CMAS, support the channel, support all of the things. And we're gonna interview the CEO of CMAS. We have a Lion Talk already, Wally Kings, but we didn't touch the CMAS. We're just talking about his agro investments, but a dynamic brethren. So we're gonna definitely bring him forward to interview him specifically on the CMAS, why he chose to sponsor the Lion Voice and this network, the Lion Network, and we give thanks. So CMAS. Number 3, Ethiopia in general. In particular, we're coming up on the anniversary of the Battle of Adwa. Gives us the number 3 point, which is a blueprint in terms of what happens when we overcome tribalism. We make no excuses, and the current situation in Ethiopia today highlights the tribal divisions of Ethiopia. We are not surprised that there is a constitution that was drafted after His Majesty's reign that enshrines separation and tribalism against the wishes of His Majesty, that provides for succession and dividing of the most powerful African realm. That is no surprise, because Ethiopia's example at Adwa shook the foundation of the global power structure, the scramble for Africa. And this happened because arch rivals, enemies, put down their differences. Different tribes, groups, Oromo, Amhara, Giragi, you can name all of the different tribes of Ethiopia, and they are represented in the struggle against the Italian invasion. They stood together with their brothers. There were traitors, but we don't talk about them. There's always going to be traitors to the struggle. What matters is that the core of the leadership, in particular, we have to shout out Tigray and Showa coming together. Rasben Gasha, Rasalula, putting down their differences and coming to Menelik II to show fealty, to say, listen, we must come together, bowing before Menelik II and Empress Taitu, putting the difference, bringing two of the most powerful military forces together. Ras Mukonnen in Harar, and the Harari, the Somali, who are a part of Ethiopia from that time. There's always been Somali peoples in Ethiopia. It's one. Them putting them differences together. Some of the greatest cavalry history has seen against the Italian aggression, destroying over 30,000 Italian soldiers at the Battle of Adwa. This is the touchable and tangible manifestation. This is why Adwa should be celebrated in every African country. every Caribbean country, everywhere that black people are present, March 1st and 2nd should be celebrated. We're going to try to do some special things for that across the ecosystem, so stay tuned. But again, the blueprint to overcome tribalism and what overcoming tribalism can do. Number 2 is that Ethiopia is the cradle of mankind. You know, when we talk about Dejazmatch or Lucy, the oldest humanoid bone fossils found in Ethiopia, but we know that Rift Valley is gonna be you know, the remains of ancient man, cradle of humanity is there. So Ethiopia is the beginnings of all humanity. So it's important to stamp that when we're talking about Black History Month. Stamp that, you know, the cradle never was conquered. And that brings us to number 1, this African victory. You know, the number 1 reason. And I'm going to add some little sauce on it, is that African victory. The African victory is the number 1 reason. This is the unconquered land space of Africa. The Europeans, no one can ever claim that they control the full African continent because of this landmass that we call Ethiopia, which then became the foundation of the Organization of African Unity under His Imperial Majesty, which was able to thwart the colonial efforts to divide the Casablanca and Monrovia groupings of African nations in the 60s. Because Ethiopia had never been conquered and wasn't controlled, and there was no puppet master in Addis Ababa, His Majesty reigned from the throne of David, we were able to forge the foundation of the African Union today, which at that time was the Organization of African Unity. And now we see the free trade area legislation going through. We see increased trade. Africa is on the rise, despite all of the military bases that have been put there, all of the efforts to destabilize. Look at how Africa dealt with COVID, you know, least vaccinated, least amount of deaths during that Iowa. So when we look at all of these things, the stone that the builder refused becoming the head cornerstone, the spread and the rise of Afrobeats, you know, African culture becoming a dominant world cultural force, African cinema, all of these things that are happening, the foundation was set right there in Addis Ababa and still remains right there in Addis Ababa through the touchable work of Kadamawi Haile Selassie I. That's why I love Rastafari, because we don't have to make up anything to glorify His Imperial Majesty. And we'll be doing a whole series of basic, back to Rastafari basics, because, you know, I'm realizing as I'm sharing the content on different platforms, a lot of people have questions that are basic. We might think we're way advanced. So we're going to go into some of the basic Rastafari questions during March, maybe into April as well, on the Lion Voice, just so we have it in the Lion log so that people can search when they're searching these basic questions. Again, we talk about the Rastafari man standard, establishing a standard for the Rastafari man. These basics are there because we're going to have a lot more people who are coming in that are called into Rastafari, into the Lion Tribe. A lot of Pan-African brothers, as we work together, are going to want to have more understanding about their Rastafari brothers, so we want to put this content there. And just allies, because you don't have to be Rastafari Pan-African, you can just be an ally of the movement, someone that just wants the best for humanity. And this is why Haile Selassie is so crucial, because he shows us how he worked with every nation, visit every nation, you know, praised by the people of all nations in alignment with the prophecy, you know, and put down the differences, you know, and found. This is why His Majesty was so diplomatic or diplomatic, because he would find a bridge to bind us to each nation. So if you're calling from Turkey, if you're from Norway, if you're from Australia, if you're from North America, if you're from South America, it doesn't matter. His Majesty found a way to build a bridge. Mexico. he found a way to build the bridges. China, Singapore, Asia, Japan. His Majesty found a way to build a bridge. Yugoslavia at that time with Field Marshal Tito, now Croatia and Serbia. But His Majesty found the ways to build that bridge. And we as Rastafari children can do no less. Yes, we talk about black liberation because we're black people and we were oppressed and we are the lions. We don't come to follow, we come to lead. So of course we're going to focus on the black man and the black woman. But it's open to all to support because it's one perfect love. Because when my family is strong, then I can join with the other families and we can fight against the bigger dragon and the bigger beast that's trying to oppress the whole earth. So we strengthen the root so that the branches can flourish. I always say that. And with that being said, again, if there are other reasons why you think Ethiopia, Haile Selassie are important that I miss, because the lion pride is sharp, I get the messages. We have some Christian and I love, you don't have to agree with everything we say here. We try to respond intelligently. This is not the tit for tat and name calling. No, this is an intelligent channel. That's what we're cultivating with the lion pride. So feel free, make your sound in the comments. Again, you want to follow the artists, part of the Dejazmatch Kwasi, support on the Patreon. We're going to build up the tribe over there for the music. I'm going to be consistent with uploading music on there and musical content on the Patreon. So support over there. Show the artist some love because I'm vexed with how we not give him the time where he need to build out his portion of the ecosystem. So again, we're going to build it in the Patreon while we get things together. And the ecosystem is being built out. It's a lot of work, small team. And this is what we're going to be preaching on all of the platforms. As we build out our ecosystem, we're going to be showing you how to do the same. This is the future for the creative industry. There are tools upon tools. We have AI. We're now looking at AI tools that can write copy. We're going to look into legal implications of some of these things. We're going to on lion law. Okay, we have a big interview getting ready to drop. We're going to be looking at the intersection between music and badness, interviewing good version of I View Culture, Raspachu, who used to be integral in the dynamics down in Maxfield inner city community. So we're going to look at how the inner cities, and we know the culture and creative industry is shaped by the inner city and the rural population. So the next Lion Talk, we're going to get a deep dive into that. Look out for that interview. Look out for all of the different content that's coming. Lion Law, Lion Talk, Lion Voice. These are the three shows that will be populating this YouTube network. Again, we want to up the production. So if you want us to better cameras, microphone, studio, all of these things as we move to Africa, support in the Patreon or just subscribe, because the beautiful thing with this modern, it's free to support creatives. We can monetize in other ways once you subscribe and show that you support the content that's being put out. So we're gonna rise together, Lion Pride and the Lion Voice and the Lion Talk, and the time has come for the lions to tell our own story, and this is the Lion Voice.
Lion Voice. Ethiopian, it's time to stand on the parade, Mama Africa, meddling Adowa. I see tens of thousands of soldiers, tell you been here and we are them fighting in Adowa. Tell them that no slave master could ever come take over Africa, meddling Adowa. Tell them, see the ark of the covenant, them won't come take over. They try to
a lion, we run the bush. Chop down the wicked with sword and flesh hook. All the great Rastafari, ride on them horse and slew off them gunmen in judgment. Italy, you found filthy in the Vatican where they practice necromancy. Bakula Adwa 1896, get whipped with stones and sticks. Iron rollers coming down from high region, crushing your troop and legion. There's no division when all the tribes come together to defend with wives and with mothers and the land of our fathers. King Menelik leaves the Rasses, young Tafari, 4 years in the passage. Try to live in peace, the wicked always on a rampage. When you check the history, you see who's the real savage. At night while they sleep, move me with the damage. Giving thanks for life, chopping heads in the silence. So much bloodshed for Africans to be free. Can't forget about the Zulu, Ashanti. So don't press her, you should have known better. The Ark of the Covenant stays in Ethiopia.
Adoa, Ethiopian, it's time to stand and liberate Mama Africa. Adoa, tell them that no slave master could ever come take over Africa. Adoa, tell them I see tens of thousands of fire being given away. Them fighting in Adoa. Don't know for the Ark of the Covenant.
Yo, what's going on at the break of dawn? I'm hearing gongs. Everyone is running for arms, chatting the war was on. Just heard a sound from Menelik II, saying everyone grabbing the weapon. Hey yo, it's Armageddon. I see the enemies intruding. Good over evil, confident we're not losing. Even the women on the front line, barefoot gun shooting. Black liberation, worldwide revolution. Zimbabwe, South Africa, the same revolution. Defending ourselves against colonial pollution.